Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Speaking out, the family of a Raleigh man who died in a crash after a chase with troopers is demanding answers. What they and civil rights attorneys are calling for today.
And we have a WRAL weather alert day for Sunday. This strong cold front brings a chance for severe storms. I'll show you when the storms arrive in your area coming up.
And Duke in Trump's crosshairs. Why the president has targeted the university for investigation announced today. And a good Friday afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. We have a lot to tell you about. The WRAL Severe Weather Center has an update on our potential for storms this weekend.
Yeah, they're headed our way. Sunday's a WRAL weather alert day because of that threat. And let's get straight back to meteorologist Amy Wilmoth right now, who has some fresh data to share with us.
That's right. I've been pouring over some of the high resolution model data that's now coming in, and it's looking like maybe these storms could arrive a little bit earlier in the day for our western counties. More on that in just a moment. This is where the system is right now, so it's impacting the center part of our country. It doesn't look very robust right now, but as the temperatures warm, as we get more into the afternoon, we'll start to see some severe storms develop across the center part of the country, and that's the system that's headed our way. We have the alert day in place for Sunday. Instead of noon until 8 p.m., I changed the timeline, so this is 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. for the chance for severe storms across the area. It still looks like the biggest threat would be damaging winds, but we could also have isolated tornadoes, localized flooding, and now that I'm looking deeper into some of the high resolution model data, maybe even a little bit of hail possible with these storms. The impacts will have some power outages, potentially with some strong winds. You definitely want to try to make some indoor plans on Sunday and have a way to get alerts. Download the WRAL News app and we'll be sure to alert you to anything that's happening across the area. But it's a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe storms for the entire area on Sunday. I've worked on the staffing in the Weather Center and will be completely staffed all day in the WRAL Severe Weather Center to make sure we keep everybody posted. This is the timing of arrival for the storms. So they could arrive in extreme western parts of the area, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. In the central part of the area, including Wake County, 11 a.m. to 1, and then from 1 to 3 in our eastern counties. We'll take a closer look at this hour by hour with Futurecast coming up.
Thanks, Amy. In the last 90 minutes, national civil rights attorneys Ben Crump and Bakari Sellers wrapped up a news conference with the mother of Tyrone Mason. Mason died in a crash in October 2024 in Raleigh.
That case has led to a North Carolina SBI probe into 2 state troopers, Garrett Macario and Sergeant Matthew Morrison. The review prompted the DA in Wake County to drop more than 180 cases regarding those 2 troopers. WRAL's Chelsea Donovan is joining us live with the latest on what was said at this news conference. Chelsea.
Yeah, so these high-profile civil rights attorneys are basically asking for 4 things: transparency, accountability for these state troopers, justice for Tyrone Mason, and lastly, they want the body cam and the dash cam from that fatal incident released to the public immediately. Now, you'll recall Tyrone Mason was killed following a chase and a crash on Capitol Boulevard in October of last year. Both the troopers are now on administrative leave while the patrol and the SBI look into this matter. Wake County District Attorney Lauren Freeman previously told WRAL she saw evidence from that crash that raised questions about Sergeant Garrett Macario's credibility and his truthfulness. Freeman told me that what she saw on that dash and body camera video from the scene led to a further investigation. Now, court records show that Macario provided false or misleading information to responding officers with the Raleigh Police Department.
They would not have dismissed those cases if there were not something on that video from the dash cam and from the body cam that was just god-awful. They don't just drop cases like that.
Now, I reached out to District Attorney Lauren Freeman today. She was the one that dropped those 180 cases, kind of just to see where the investigation stands regarding these 2 troopers. Obviously, the bigger question in this matter is if they will be charged with any sort of crime. And she told me this morning that this matter is still under investigation. Live in downtown Raleigh, Chelsea Donovan, WRAL News.
We are just getting an update from Highway Patrol. I'm Dan Haggerty in the WRAL Live Center. This is on a breaking news story we've been covering for you since this morning when a small private plane crashed in Greenville, just outside the Pitt Greenville Airport. We're learning now that 2 people were on board and both of them died. No survivors in this crash. An affiliate reporting that the plane was leaving Greenville from the Strip here and flying to Vero Beach, Florida. You can see just how far the plane made it before it went down, crashing right here off of North Green Street, actually in the back of a business there. We know no one on the ground was hurt. We're still waiting to learn more about the people who were on board, their names, where they're from, that sort of thing. As soon as we learn anything more, though, we'll bring it to you from here in the Live Center. Guys.
Sad update. Dan, thank you. New information about a deadly crash that happened early this morning in Clayton. We have learned a 19-year-old woman is dead and a man is charged with DWI and other offenses. WRAL's Carly Haynes is live near the scene where the crash happened along US 70 Business. Carly.
It's a really popular intersection right by the big Walmart in Clayton, and chances are if you're from Clayton, you've likely passed it commuting if you're heading into Raleigh. Only today, there's now debris lined by the side of the road here. The crash happened around 2:30 this morning. Part of Highway 70 closed for several hours, slowing down the morning commute. Police have arrested 48-year-old Guadalupe Moreno Neves and charged him with a DWI, driving without a license, and death by motor vehicle. Investigators say he drove his truck through a red light, crashing into the 19-year-old's car as she pulled into the intersection. And we spoke to some people who travel through this area. They say it can be dangerous.
I do see people run through the red lights and everything, and people are like always in a rush to get to work.
Neves is being held under a $5 million bond. This part of Highway 70 reopened around 7:30 this morning. Carly Haynes, WRAL News, live in Clayton.
Threatening text scams are becoming more common. A woman reached out to WRAL about texts she received saying, "I am the hitman who manages this operation. I have strict orders to eliminate rats like you." The scammer then demanded money and sent photos of guns and dismembered bodies. The woman reported those messages to the Wake County Sheriff's Office.
In the back of my head, I'm still like very aware of my surroundings, looking around, locking my doors. Like, I still feel scared.
If you receive texts like this, law enforcement recommends not responding to questionable emails or texts from strangers. Do not send any cash in the mail, and don't answer the phone unless you know who it is on the other side.
Duke is among roughly 50 universities now under investigation by the Trump administration's anti-DEI campaign. President Trump wants to end diversity, equity, and inclusion programs that his officials say exclude white and Asian American students. The Education Department announced the new investigations today. It comes a month after issuing a memo warning America's schools and colleges that they could lose federal money over race-based preferences in admissions, scholarships, or any aspect of student life. Most of the inquiries focus on colleges' partnerships with the PhD Project. It's a nonprofit that helps students from underrepresented groups get degrees in business with the goal of diversifying the business world. There's a group of 45 colleges facing scrutiny over ties to the PhD Project include Duke, Yale, Cornell, and MIT, as well as Arizona State, Ohio State, and Rutgers.
Time is running out for lawmakers to avoid the government shutdown at midnight, but there appears to be some progress for that to happen. Last night, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said he will vote to pass the GOP's proposed spending bill, and that development happened a day after he vowed that Democrats would not allow it to pass. The bill would keep the government funded through September. So all this week, you probably preferred not to look at the stock market numbers, but we want you to take a look at this now. The Dow is up 578 points at this hour. The S&P 500 advancing 90 points, and the NASDAQ also a triple-digit rally, up 391 points. Still, with these gains, because of all the steep losses this week, the Dow is on track to have its worst week in 2 years.
It'll be the Battle of the Blues once again today in the ACC tournament in Charlotte. UNC and Duke hit the hard court tonight at 7 o'clock, tip it up in the semifinals. Let's take a look at the bracket right now. So if UNC can beat Duke today, they can make themselves a pretty good case in the NCAA tournament. Blue Devils will be one of the top teams in the Big Dance no matter what happens in this game. Duke will likely be without star freshman Cooper Flagg tonight. This is the moment. Flagg sprained his ankle on this rebound here in the first half against Georgia Tech yesterday. He was helped off the court and taken to the X-ray room at the Spectrum Center in a wheelchair. He walked back out to the bench for the second half but did not play again. And Duke head coach John Shire said the X-rays were negative, but he described Flagg's chances to play as unlikely.
You have to be convinced by everybody in the locker room when I go back that he should play. You know, it's not worth it. It's not about being ready to go tomorrow. That's not the most important thing for us. We got to see if we can get him right for this run that we can make in the tournament.
We will have one team locally in the finals, and we'll have team coverage of it for you from the ACC tournament in Charlotte tonight with Chris Lee, Pat Welter, and Brian Murphy. All the coverage you need right here on WRAL.
Which shade of blue will it be?
We
will see. Next at noon, a wing and a prayer. How passengers escaped a plane on fire in Colorado and what caused all the commotion.
Also, is it the last episode of Lost in Space, the SpaceX latest mission to relieve those stranded astronauts from the International Space Station?
And Bill Belichick's +1 wants to be added to company emails to her boyfriend. The request from the head coach to the University of North Carolina.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
A woman injured in the Columbine High School shooting 26 years ago died from complications from that shooting. Anne-Marie Hochhalter died last month at the age of 43. And now authorities say the gunshot wounds she suffered led to her death years later. She was 17 when she was shot twice in the back during the 1999 school massacre in Colorado. The injuries left her paralyzed from the waist down. Her death now means that 14 people died as a result of the shooting, 13 students and 1 teacher. 12 passengers were taken to the hospital because of this. An American Airlines plane caught fire on the runway in Denver, Colorado. And you can see passengers walking across the wing of the plane to escape. The flight was en route from Colorado Springs to Texas. It was diverted to Denver because of reported engine vibrations. While taxiing to the gate, the plane caught fire. All of the reported injuries are considered minor. The FAA said it will investigate.
SpaceX will try again tonight to launch 4 crew members to the International Space Station. A launch scheduled earlier this week was scrapped. The crew heading to the ISS will take the reins from NASA's Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore, who have been up there for more than 9 months. The launch is scheduled for 7 p.m. tonight out of Florida. New reports claim UNC football coach Bill Belichick requests emails to him from university communications staff include his girlfriend now. An email obtained by the Assembly NC shows the coach requests further messages include 24-year-old Jordan Hudson. The subject line indicates that this specific message was in response to questions about social media content. The 72-year-old former Patriots head coach has reportedly also asked for Hudson to help with interviews and other media requests.
Here's another use for AI. Some hospitals in North Carolina are using artificial intelligence to diagnose patients. In Winston-Salem, the cardiology unit at the Novant Health Forsyth Medical Center says the technology is breaking barriers in patient care. The department has used the AI cardiac strain analysis software for at least 5 years now. Doctors take pictures with a probe and then use the software to see deeper inside the heart.
It's able to detect how well it's moving, how well it's pumping, how well it's basically functioning. And if there's any abnormalities or any inconsistencies, the AI is able to detect that better than the human eye.
They say the feature allows them to diagnose cardiac disease in the early stages.
The story of human evolution in Europe just got a little more interesting. We are learning more about the earliest human fossil remains found so far in Western Europe. In 2022, researchers in northern Spain discovered fossilized bone fragments in a cave. According to a new study, the discovery has revealed a previously unknown human population in Europe that lived more than 1 million years ago. When assembled, the fossils form the left side of an ancient human face. Researchers have not definitively identified the species of prehistoric human, but suspect the specimens belong to Homo erectus, a species well known from fossils found in Africa and Asia.
Last month, a flaming hot Cheeto that resembled a Pokemon sold for more than $87,000. Okay, look what the same auction house is selling now. Golden Auctions calls it the Jumpman Cheeto for its resemblance to the famous Michael Jordan image. And that photo was originally taken in 1985. Its silhouette became the mark of Air Jordan shoes. So far, bidders don't seem to be convinced of the resemblance. The current high bid, $336, but it still has more than 2 weeks to go. What if you just ate it?
Oh, no, they're expensive Cheetos right there.
They're made to be eaten.
Right.
Anyway.
We are about a month away from the deadline to file taxes, and today we are asking you, have you filed yours yet?
Share your voice right now by scanning the QR code on your screen or head to WRAL.com/yourvoice. Those that have waited already, well, they are on it. They have filed it. We'll share the results before the end of this newscast. I would be in the no camp. Still haven't gotten that done.
There's nobody who hasn't filed yet. Come on.
Those that wait
All right,
in.
We'll give it a few minutes. We'll check back. Amy, we'll move this over in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now. There's a mix of clouds and sun out there a little bit.
That's right. I found the one camera that showed a little bit of sunshine, showed a little bit of blue sky. We've really kind of been stuck in the clouds. It's been a gloomy start to the day, but in Roxborough and Person County, starting to see those clouds break up, which is nice to see. It's 51 degrees right now in Raleigh and Durham, 50 in Roxborough, 52 in Fayetteville, still in the 40s in some areas. It's 48 degrees right now in Goldsboro. Hour by hour today, pretty nice, but because we had the clouds linger a little bit longer, temperatures will likely stay in the upper 60s this afternoon, around 68 degrees. It'll be nice this evening, too, if you want to get outside and get some steps in or do something outdoors. This evening, very comfortable with the temperature in the 60s through the 10 o'clock hour, and then we're into the upper 50s. So quiet weather for today. Tomorrow, quiet for the most part, although it will be windy, but this is the next weather maker that will impact us for Sunday. Severe weather is possible across the center part of the country today. This is a look at the severe risk for today. It's a 4 out of 5 risk in this region shaded in red. As we go into Saturday, that area goes a little bit to the south and east. The area in red here has a level 4 risk of severe storms. Notice how western North Carolina has a potential for severe storms Saturday into Saturday night. And then by the time Sunday rolls around, it's in our area, and we have a level 2 risk for the entire area, and we have issued a weather alert day for Sunday for the potential for some storms. So this is a look at some high-resolution model data. Saturday, we have a 20% chance for rain. It's nothing that I would cancel my outdoor plans for, but just know a passing shower or two is possible. It'd be fairly isolated, but it will be windy and warm on Saturday, and I'll have a closer look at those wind gusts coming up in the next half hour. 10 a.m. on Sunday, the storms moving into the western half of our viewing area. The biggest threat with the storms that roll in is going to be damaging winds, but we could also have some isolated tornadoes, some hail, and some localized flooding as well. At lunchtime, we have scattered showers and storms across a good part of the viewing area, including the Triangle area. Still at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we have the potential for scattered storms in the Triangle, and elsewhere you can see scattered storms across the area. At 4 p.m., scattered storms still with us. We're starting to see some drier air work into the northwestern part of the area. And then by 8 p.m., the risk for severe storms would be focused in our southeastern counties before it all starts to move out. So your weekend planner, Saturday looks good. It's just going to be windy, partly cloudy and warm, 81 for the high, maybe an isolated shower. Sunday, plan for some indoor things. We have the weather alert day in place. We'll be fully staffed here in the weather center. Storms are likely and some could be severe. It will be a little bit cooler with a high of 73. And then it's quieter as we head into Monday. For St. Patrick's Day, it will be cooler. 64 for the high on Monday with partly cloudy skies. We're warming it back up on Tuesday, 72 with lots of sunshine, and then 80 for a high temperature on Wednesday. Thursday, we have the chance for a couple of showers with a high of 72, but certainly Sunday right now is the day to watch. And again, I'll have more on the wind threat coming up in the next half hour.
So Sunday's weather, the opposite of its namesake, not a whole lot of sun, and we'll be expecting some storms. Amy, thank you. Save on spring cleaning. Ahead at 4 on WRAL News. See the big sales on top-rated spring cleaning products that will help you freshen up your home and your yard.
Plus, from survivor to researcher at 5:30, how one woman's cancer journey inspired her to uncover new treatment options for others facing similar battles. And still ahead this noon, citrus trees in trouble. A disease is killing crops in Florida. Just ahead, why growers say it's just the latest issue hurting their livelihood.
Also ahead, slashing jobs. The U.S. Postal Service is preparing to issue thousands of pink slips. And that's not the only way the agency is reducing its headcount. Get ready for higher prices on lemons, limes, and orange juice. Florida's citrus crop is suffering from a combination of issues right now. Many growers across Florida's citrus belt are struggling in the aftermath of past hurricanes, and now a terrible disease that's destroying their crops. Citrus greening disease is a bacterial infection transmitted by a small insect as it feeds on the tree's sap, slowly killing them. And trees are especially vulnerable this year.
Since 2017, we've had Hurricane Irma, Hurricane Ian, and Hurricane Milton. We also had some freezes, first time that we've had in probably 10 plus years. The trees are already in a weakened state because of the greening.
Scientists are working to create genetically modified trees resistant to the greening disease. There has been progress, but modified trees are still several years away from being planted. In the meantime, California has officially replaced Florida as our nation's top citrus producer.
U.S. Postal Service says it plans to cut 10,000 jobs and use a voluntary early retirement approach over the next 30 days. Postmaster Louis DeJoy notified Congress that the agency will cooperate with the Elon Musk-led Department of Government Efficiency in making those cuts. The Postal Service has undergone major restructuring over the last 5 years, including reducing the workforce and canceling or renegotiating contracts. The USPS has 635,000 employees and lost almost $10 billion last year.
PBS is suing FEMA. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting filed a lawsuit because the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, put a hold on nearly $2 million in grants. That money was to upgrade the nation's emergency alert system. The lawsuit says FEMA never explained why it paused the payments. The suit seeks an order to have FEMA reimburse PBS for expenses.
Outrage in Asheville. Protesters gathered at a Republican congressperson's town hall meeting there, what they want from their representative.
And Battle of the Blues, round 3. UNC and Duke will face off again in the ACC tournament. How star Duke player Cooper Flagg's injury will likely change the game. And here's a look at your winning lottery numbers.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
A North Carolina congressman's town hall was filled with screaming and booing from the crowd in Asheville.
And WRAL's Noah Klein is here right now with what happened and why that crowd was so upset with the politician, Noah.
Jeff, they were definitely upset. This was a packed house for Representative Chuck Edwards' town hall. Edwards faced several questions about President Donald Trump's use of tariffs. Let's get right to one of the key moments here when a man ended up getting kicked out.
You got nothing to say but lie. You're lying. I'm a veteran. You don't give a f*** about me.
What a moment there. 4 deputies escorted that man out of the room at Edwards' request. The remarks were in response to something Edwards had said about the House budget resolution. About 300 people here crammed inside that auditorium for the town hall. An even larger crowd posted up outside protesting. Some had signs calling Edwards a puppet or just upset with the work DOJ is doing. House Speaker Mike Johnson told GOP representatives last week to skip out on these town halls because of things like this that are happening. WRAL Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie is looking at the bigger picture of that and why Edwards receives so much criticism. That's tonight on our evening news.
Noah, thank you for that. State lawmakers were surprised to find crews removing asbestos from the state legislative building yesterday. It's not just lawmakers who use the building. Many school children also spend a lot of time in there. The state issued a permit for the asbestos removal last month. Crews worked on it after hours and took down the signs by morning. Lawmakers were never notified about it. Spot inspections afterward did not show any problems. A new bill aims to allow larger and more powerful fireworks in North Carolina. The proposal would allow the purchase, sale, and use of fireworks similar to the ones legal in South Carolina right now. Senator Amy Galey from Alamance County introduced this bill. If it's approved, there would be a 5% tax on the purchase.
Today, Governor Josh Stein will visit a dairy farm in Haywood County that was hit hard by Hurricane Helene. Stein is urging the General Assembly to pass a Western North Carolina recovery bill. The farm is located on the Pigeon River, which crested at more than 25 feet during the storm. Governor Stein's tour of the farm will start at 2 this afternoon. The Blue Ridge Parkway saw a drop in visitors after Tropical Storm Helene, but it has since rebounded recently. In September of last year before Helene, more than 1.6 million people visited the parkway. Last October, that number had dropped to 739,000. Since then, the number of visitors has slowly grown. In November, there were 906,000 visitors. In December, that number was 938,000. While most of the Blue Ridge Parkway has reopened, there are still some sections that are closed. Today is a makeup day for Wake County schools on the traditional calendar. Those classes are in session in exchange for the snow day from February 19th. Remember this one? This is what it looked like in conditions in Wake County on the 19th. Teacher Day. Today was originally a teacher work day that's been replaced by kids going to school.
Our county-by-county coverage takes us to Cumberland, Hoke, and Johnston counties. The deadline is drawing near for Cumberland County property owners to appeal their property tax revaluations. The tax appraised value of real estate in Cumberland County went up nearly 65% on average between 2017 and 25. March 24th is the deadline to file your appeal. Cape Fear Valley Health's Hoke Hospital will host a free community health fair from 10 until 1 tomorrow. The hospital is celebrating its 10th anniversary on Saturday. In addition to health screenings, the event will include family activities, giveaways, refreshments, and music. The hospital is on Medical Pavilion Drive in Rayford. North Carolina's largest Civil War reenactment takes place tomorrow and Sunday. The event marks 160 years since the Battle of Bentonville. The Union victory was among the last major battles of the war. Tickets are $15. The reenactment takes place at the Benton Battlefield State Historic Site over on Harper House Road.
Battle of a different sort here, the Battle of the Blues. Today in the ACC tournament in Charlotte, UNC and Duke will hit the court tonight, 7 o'clock in the semifinals. WRAL's Pat Welter and Chris Lee are in Charlotte with a look ahead to tonight's game.
Well, Chris, what everybody was hoping for here in Charlotte, Duke UNC Part 3 today at 7 o'clock.
Unfortunately, it'll have to be without Cooper Flagg. He sprained his ankle in the first half versus Georgia Tech yesterday. He tried testing it back in the locker room. Ultimately, he couldn't put enough weight on it to feel comfortable to play. Head coach John Shire says he doesn't think it's worth it for him to play for the rest of the week.
I would have to be convinced by everybody in the locker room when I go back that he should play. You know, it's not worth it.
So everything breaking Carolina's way, but they had their hands full yesterday with Wake Forest. They survived an absolute dogfight. They're almost in the NCAA tournament, but a win over Duke would virtually erase all doubt.
I feel like with this team, we showed our resiliency, we showed our perseverance, and the way we battled through adversity and overcoming it. I mean, that's what March is about, and that's what tournament teams are.
Even without Cooper Flagg, UNC is going to have their hands full. Con Knipple was brilliant here yesterday, 28 points in that win.
And unfortunately for Duke, they'll also be missing Malik Brown. It looked like he re-aggravated his shoulder injury, and he came up big in the Duke-Carolina game last week at Carolina. We'll see what happens when this one tips off tonight at 7 o'clock right here in Charlotte.
You know, either way, we are treated to number 3. Third time. We have team coverage of the ACC tournament in Charlotte all weekend long, and Chris Lee, Pat Welter, Brian Murphy will have that coverage right here on WRAL.
So St. Patrick's Day is Monday, and there's a big St. Patty's Day parade in Raleigh tomorrow. It kicks off at 10 a.m. on South Salisbury Street, moves up through West Morgan, and then down Fayetteville Street. It will end at West Lenore Street. The annual parade will feature marching bands and local organizations, but no motorized vehicles. Organizers opted to not include them this year. Last year, Jeff O'Hogan was the Grand Marshal. This year, it is Angus Barn owner Van Muir. Street closures around the parade will start at 8 a.m. At least they have it on Saturday and not Sunday.
And oh, what fun we had. Raise a glass, but not to cancer prevention. Researchers just keep chipping away at any suggestion red wine reduces your cancer risk. We'll tell you what else they are now suggesting about wine's impact on your health.
And later, get a bigger tax refund. If you haven't filed your return yet, the deadline is drawing near. We'll share some strategies that could put more money back in your wallet.
The FDA has issued its flu vaccine recommendations for 2025 into 26. The agency says vaccines for the upcoming respiratory virus season should be trivalent. That means they will protect against 2 strains of influenza A and 1 of influenza B. The agency's decision comes without input from its group of independent vaccine advisors, whose meeting was canceled without explanation late last month. Instead, the FDA brought together some of its own experts, along with experts from the CDC and the Department of Defense.
Yet another report is disputing previous claims that red wine has health benefits. Some earlier studies suggested red wine offered cancer protection because of its high levels of a certain antioxidant. But new data finds no clear evidence to support that. The same study also found that white wine was linked to an increased risk of skin cancer compared to red wine. And there was a stronger association between white wine intake and increased overall cancer risk in women.
Fact-checking with crowdsourcing.
That's what Jeff Zuckerberg says his company Meta will start doing next week. Or Mark Zuckerberg says his company will start doing. We'll explain how that will look and work on Facebook and Instagram. Also ahead.
The deadline to file your taxes is ticking louder. I'm Shelly Painter with a look at some tips and reminders taxpayers may need to brush up on. Coming up.
Meta's new fact-checking feature is coming to its social media platforms. The company says it'll start testing a user-sourced fact-checking program on Instagram and Facebook starting next week. Community notes will be similar to what is used on X, formerly Twitter, which puts fact-checking in the hands of the users. Meta ended its previous fact-checking program in January. CEO Mark Zuckerberg said that was because it was becoming more politically biased. Meta says users can sign up to test the program, but their community notes will not appear immediately.
While you still have about a month to file your taxes, the clock is ticking down. Shanley Painter shares some strategies and reminders that could help last-minute taxpayers complete their forms and maximize their returns.
If you haven't already filed your taxes, odds are good you're not alone. Previous data from the Internal Revenue Service reveals about 1/3 of taxpayers submit their forms in the 3 weeks leading up to the April 15th deadline. It has some people wondering,
why can't the government simply just prepare taxes for us?
But according to Brad Hepfer, accounting associate professor at Texas A&M University,
there are lots of opportunities that are unique to different individuals to save money.
If eligible, some of these deductions can include
the child tax credit. So this is a $2,000 per child credit if you're the parent of a dependent college student. The American Opportunity Tax Credit of $2,500 per student.
Even for seasoned filers, the process can be demanding. Making a checklist of all the paperwork you may need is a good place to start.
These are things like the W-2s you receive from your employers. It might also include 1099s, property tax statements, mortgage statements.
Meanwhile, accounting experts are also flagging this one update some people may encounter.
If you're someone who is running a small business or has a side hustle and you receive payments through a payment processor like Venmo or PayPal, this year those payment processors have to issue a 1099-K to you if you receive more than $5,000 of third-party payments.
The IRS has free tools and resources available at irs.gov. Experts say filing earlier also gives your return a better shot at being processed quicker so that you can get your refund more quickly. And don't forget, you can get your tax questions answered for free with Tax Pros on Call. WRAL's 5 on Your Side and the North Carolina Society of Enrolled Agents are teaming up to help you with your taxes. That's happening in just 4 days. It will be Tuesday from 4 until 7 p.m. Federally licensed tax professionals will be taking your calls, answering your questions for free. Get your question ready for Tax Pros on Call on Tuesday.
All right, earlier we asked you, have you filed your tax return yet? Okay, this is a lot more accurate,
in line.
I would think. Yeah, it was 100% yes before. Nobody had
there are no procrastinators out there.
Right.
We know you're there.
So there you have the truth, and we will continue to collect your answers throughout the day. So share this with your friends. Just scan the QR code on your screen or head to WRAL.com/yourvoice.
That is a necessary chore to do every year, isn't it?
I could have single-handedly bumped that to 70% right there.
Ooh.
With enough? Not yet.
Meteorologist Amy Wilmoth here now to guide us through what we can expect this weekend. But first, some views out there. It's cloudier out there today than yesterday.
It is. We have the clouds around. We had some fog earlier this morning, and the clouds really just kind of sticking around. We have a little bit of sun in the northwestern part of the area, but Apex, you're stuck in the clouds. Same thing here at the TV studios in our gardens, and there's a nice deck of clouds over downtown Raleigh as well. Visible satellite imagery really paints that picture clearly where we have the clouds, where you see the white, where you see the darker areas. That's where we're starting to see a little bit of sunshine, but most of us, it's very gray. But hour by hour today, really overall, pretty nice day. High temperatures will likely stay in the upper 60s because the clouds has just kind of stuck around, but it's generally a nice day today, and tomorrow is going to be okay as well. We've had some really warm temperatures this week, and that has allowed the tree pollen to really jump up, and the National Weather Service just announced that our growing season will begin for the entire area on March 23rd. And what that means is once temperatures are forecast to get really, really cold, they're going to have frost advisories or freeze warnings because that could damage some of the budding trees and budding plants out there. So that will begin on March 23rd. And as I mentioned, the tree pollen with the warmth has really spiked. It's in the high category right now. Still haven't seen the pine pollen show up in a report yet, but that's coming, I'm sure, very soon. But any of the pollen that's in the air right now will get washed away nicely on Sunday, but it comes with a severe threat as well. So rain is likely, but severe storms are possible. We have a weather alert day in place for Sunday. Everyone under a level 2 risk for severe storms in our area. Damaging winds the biggest threat, but isolated tornadoes, heavy rain, and maybe even some hail will be possible with this round of severe weather. It's a real windy setup. In the upper levels, winds will be at about 60 to 70 miles per hour, and some of the stronger storms that roll in could pull those winds down to the surface, and that could do some damage. So some power outages are possible as we head into Sunday. But even in advance of this system, this is Saturday, the peak wind gust Saturday. It's going to be pretty windy on Saturday, and then this is the wind gusts for Sunday. So this would even be outside of any storms that roll through. It's going to be very windy all day on Sunday, but within some of those storms, we could have even stronger gusts than what you see there. We also have a flood risk. We have a low-end flood risk for our entire viewing area. It looks like we could have what we call training, which is where the rain just kind of rains in the same spot for a long period of time, and we could have that on Sunday. Anywhere from around half an inch to maybe an inch, maybe even an inch and a quarter in a few spots possible with this next round of rain on the second half of the weekend. So for today, things are fine. Things are pretty quiet. Tomorrow is going to be a pretty windy day. It'll be warm with a high of 81. We've got about a 20% chance for rain. So I'd plan to do some outdoor things on Saturday, but it'll be kind of windy. Sunday, just plan to have a way to get alerts. We will have showers and storms. We'll have several of us here monitoring the radar for you. And then Monday is St. Patrick's Day. It's quiet, but it's cooler, 64. But we do have some nice weather next week, 72 with sunshine Tuesday and back up to around 80 by Wednesday.
Trending up again. Thanks, Amy. Can we add moon pie and shepherd's pie to the Pie Day deals that are out there? There's pizza and dessert available at a discount, and we're going to discuss that as we celebrate the mathematical constant of pi on this date, 3/14.
This is the kind of math we all love. Coming up, we'll tell you how to get a slice of the action.
A little bit earlier, this was the only camera that had any kind of sunshine out there. Roxborough looking beautiful, not even a whisper of wind right there, headed towards the mid to upper 60s today.
As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today.
In the last 90 minutes, national civil rights attorneys Ben Crump and Bakari Sellers wrapped up a news conference with the mother of Tyrone Mason. Mason died in a crash in October 2024 in Raleigh. That case has led to a North Carolina SBI probe into two state troopers, Garrett Macario and Sergeant Matthew Morrison. The review prompted the DA in Wake County to drop more than 180 cases regarding those two troopers.
New information about a deadly crash that happened early this morning in Clayton. We have learned a 19-year-old woman is dead and a man is charged with DWI. The crash happened around 2:30 this morning. Police arrested 48-year-old Guadalupe Moreno Nieves and charged him with a DWI, driving without a license, and death by motor vehicle.
It is Battle of the Blues Part 3 today in the ACC tournament in Charlotte. UNC and Duke will hit the court tonight at 7 o'clock in the semifinals. And taking a look at the bracket right there, if UNC can beat Duke today, they have a pretty good chance at making the NCAA tournament, take away some of those questions. The Blue Devils will be one of the top teams in the Big Dance no matter what happens today. Steph Curry hit a milestone no one else in NBA history has ever reached. Curry became the first player in NBA history to score 4,000 career three-pointers. He hit number 4,000 during the third quarter of the Golden State Warriors game against the Sacramento Kings. And it came just a few hours before Curry's 37th birthday, which is today. Curry went to high school in Charlotte and played at Davidson.
Today, March 14th, is Pi Day. The date rounds the value of the mathematical constant pi to 2 decimal places, 3.14. Businesses have fun giving deals on Pi Day because pi, spelled P-I, sounds like pie the dessert, or even better, another kind of pie, pizza. Papa John's is offering buy one, get one free for rewards members. CC's also has a buy one, get one deal. 7-Eleven has discounted pizzas, chicken tenders, and quesadillas. At Burger King, Royalty Perks members who spend $3.14 can get a free Hershey pie. And at Perkins restaurants, those with coupons get free dessert pie slices. People who got up early enough this morning and stepped outside saw a rare treat in the sky. There was a total lunar eclipse, and you can see the red tint caused by the Earth shadow being cast onto the moon. For people in North America, the next fully visible total lunar eclipse will not occur until March of next year.
All right, time for our pet of the day. This is Blue. She is very sweet, a little bit scared about being at the shelter, so she'll hide when you first get there, but she gets along with the other dogs. Cats are unknown right now. She's house trained, crate trained, already knows basic commands. Once she realizes you're on her side, she will be loyal to you. For information, you can go to spcawake.org.
NBC News Daily is next on WRAL, your next local news update in 30 minutes.
Have a good day.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.